It would be an understatement to say that the 737 MAX is a polarizing aircraft. On one hand, its suite of technological advancements allow for a substantial decrease in fuel consumption, a boon for both the environment and for airlines. But at the same time, the aircraft's future has been rightfully called into question after two deadly accidents uncovered serious design flaws. In the wake of those crashes, Boeing went to great lengths to address safety concerns and assuage the fears of the flying public. With the MAX nearly cleared to fly once more, it appears that those efforts are about to pay off. But despite this imminent victory, Boeing still faces quite the uphill battle. What was once the company's fastest selling jet has become complete dead weight, sporting a negative order backlog for 2020. The program desperately needs a vote of confidence from a major airline. And luckily for Boeing, it appears that one of their longtime customers is ready to step forward and order some MAXes. Let me explain. The airline that's most likely to become the next MAX customer is Alaska Airlines. And for the majority of its history, Alaska has featured an all Boeing 737 fleet. Both Boeing and the airline are native to Seattle, which has helped foster a remarkably close relationship. So close, in fact, that for years, Alaska featured proudly all Boeing decals on the nose of their aircraft. However, in 2016, that changed. In April of that year, Alaska agreed to acquire Virgin America in a $4 billion deal. They did so with the primary objective of growing their presence up and down the west coast of the United States, beating out JetBlue, who was looking to do the same. However, this deal also meant that Alaska would assume responsibility for Virgin's assets, including its fleet of 71 Airbus aircraft. Now, the Virgin acquisition has largely been a success for Alaska, but taking on Virgin's jets has presented a distinct problem. Alaska President Ben Minicucci recently said that flying a joint Boeing-Airbus fleet has resulted in greater operating expenses. He immediately followed that up by emphasizing that low costs would remain a priority moving forward. From these comments, we can surmise that Alaska prefers to retain fleet commonality, and that they'll try to consolidate around a single aircraft family in the coming years. The only question is whether their future fleet will fall under the Boeing or Airbus umbrella. As it stands today, fortune favors Boeing, and the reason can be boiled down to two key factors: Alaska's current fleet composition and their negotiating leverage. Alaska's current fleet is skewed heavily towards Boeing. In fact, its ratio of Boeing to Airbus jets is nearly 3-to-1, with the airline flying 166 737s to just 59 A320s. If Alaska intends to pursue fleet commonality once more, ditching their smaller A320 fleet would be a cheaper option. This is mostly because it would necessitate fewer resources to retrain pilots, cabin crew, and maintenance folks. Ultimately, an order for the MAX would help Alaska save time and money in the long run. But going with the MAX would also help Alaska save boatloads of cash right now. That's because the airline has tons of leverage to bring to the negotiating table. Again, Boeing is desperate to reestablish the MAX brand, and 2020 has been a really rough year from a sales perspective. As of late October, a total of 783 MAXes have been wiped from Boeing's backlog in 2020 due to cancellations. At list price, that's $94 billion of potential revenue that's just vanished. With COVID-19 further darkening the plane sales outlook, Boeing must be teetering on desperation. As such, they'll likely go to extreme lengths to ensure that they strike a deal with anyone who's interested. On top of that, Alaska has even more leverage considering their historic relationship with Boeing. Both Boeing and Airbus take tremendous pride in their exclusive customers that operate exclusively their company's jets. But over the course of the past decade, Airbus has done an exceptional job of slowly converting some key Boeing loyalists to their side, most notably American Airlines. Given that Alaska is a former exclusive customer who's looking to reestablish fleet commonality, it would be devastating to Boeing if they lost their business to Airbus. Again, Boeing will do whatever it takes to make sure that Alaska comes home. All in all, Alaska couldn't be in a better negotiating position. And as a result, they're in line to receive some really deep discounts when ordering the MAX. Typically, when airlines place a very large order, they can receive discounts ranging from 20 to 50% off list price. In especially unique cases, such as Alaska's, those discounts can climb even higher. Ultimately, Alaska is going to receive an offer that's simply too good to refuse. Now, I know some of you might be wondering, how likely is this to actually happen? Since I did just do a similar video on United and the 777X, that was almost complete speculation. But in this case, there are concrete signs that this deal is actually going to happen. For one, Alaska has already started to rid itself of its Airbus aircraft. The process began in May of 2020, when the airline shelved 2 A320s and 10 A319s. The A319 retirement in particular is significant because the airline also operates 11 comparably sized but older 737-700s. If we're reading the tea leaves here, the writing is clearly on the wall for their Airbus jets. But the greatest indicator that a deal is forthcoming comes from an internal memo that was sent to Alaska's pilots back in February of this year. According to the Seattle Times, that memo said, quote, "While we don't yet know the exact makeup of our future fleet, we do know the 737 MAX will be a significant part of it." Add this on top of the fact that the airline previously placed an order for 37 MAXs back in 2012 and has recently acquired a couple of MAX simulators for pilot training, and it's all but guaranteed that the airline's future will be centered around the MAX. So when Boeing and Alaska do actually announce a deal, what's it gonna look like? Well, the airline had 71 Airbus jets to replace in total. However, I don't expect them to replace all of these planes at once. 10 of those 71 are brand new A321neos, a plane that's both highly efficient and is fairly unchallenged by Boeing's current offerings. It's perfect for flying transcontinental routes such as Los Angeles to New York. And given that Alaska has been expanding its influence at LAX, I believe they'll hold on to these jets for at least another decade. What's more, I think that the uncertainty surrounding air travel in a post-COVID world will shrink any MAX order a bit further. Ultimately, a deal for 50 MAX jets, split between the MAX 8 and the MAX 9, sounds about right. In addition, I think the deal could come with options for 50 or so more to help Alaska replace its 737NG fleet once it reaches retirement age. At the end of the day, an Alaskan deal for the MAX just makes so much sense. Given their close ties to Boeing, their history of leveraging fleet commonality, and the potentially massive savings they could receive, it seems like a near certainty that Alaska will become the first marquee customer to place an order for the MAX once it's cleared to fly once again. And in doing so, it'll help the airline return to its roots, which is proudly all Boeing. Now, I know I just made the case that Alaska will move forward with the MAX, but let's play pretend for just a second. If you were an executive at Alaska, would you go with the MAX or would you stick with the Neo? Let me know in the comments down below. Also, if you're interested in checking out that United 777X video that I mentioned, I'll be sure to leave a link to it right below that like button. Thank you so much to my patrons for helping to make this video possible. If you'd like to join the Patreon community and help this channel grow, go ahead and check out this link right here. And as always, if you learned something new today, leave a like and subscribe to keep learning. And until I see you again, don't forget to look up.